doing? Welcome to SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pensacola, New Jersey. I'm Swami Lee.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Mike.
And we're here to go over what's going on in the world of sports today. We're changing our format just a little bit. Instead of doing a 30-minute show, we're going to be doing a 12 to 15-minute show. We're going to really focus on only one topic. And we're going to go right into that topic. Mike, what you got for me today?
Well, Lee, since we're changing the format, I'm going to get the bone to pick with the Swami out of the way early instead of leaving it for the end.
Okay, what you got?
Well, you may recall that we were supposed to be dressed for throwback purposes today, and I don't see your jersey as quite fitting that criteria.
Well, first of all, I see that you're doing your Connie Mack imitation, so I got you right there. So good for you. Connie Mack's been dead a long time. For those that don't know, he managed the Philadelphia A's for, 50 years or something. He always wore a suit. So I'm assuming that's what he came up with. I don't personally own a throwback Steelers jersey, and it is football season, and the Steelers are playing the Packers this evening. So I'm here to watch the Steelers, and I am wearing Famous Amos. That is Amos Zaraway. So, back to the story. What else you got for me, Mike?
Well, I suppose I will leave the bone to pick for stealing my Connie Mack thunder for another day.
How about that? That was totally unplanned, just to let you know that.
But there is, that is a very good segue into what we have to talk about, because since we last met, the Baseball Writers Association of America came out with their 2018 Hall of Fame ballot, and how can we not discuss that? So, instead of discussing the 3 or 4 dozen names in the ballot, I figure that we'll just talk about a couple of most interesting names, a few first-timers in the ballot, a few repeat failures, and I'd like to hear what the Swami has to say and how much we agree or preferably disagree about some of these names.
What you got?
Well, I know that one of your favorite pitchers of all time who has not yet made the Hall of Fame is a gentleman who wore number 38. Perhaps you have some idea who I mean?
That would be the douche nozzle, Curt Schilling.
Well, leaving aside his personality defects, leaving aside his business failures, what do you think of him as a candidate for the Hall of Fame, and why?
Curt Schilling, all personal feelings aside, Curt Schilling is the poster boy for what I call the Hall of Very Good. Curt Schilling is one notch below the Hall of Fame level. He is not a Hall of Fame pitcher. I don't care how many bloody socks he wore. I don't care how many postseason wins he has. He is not a Hall of Famer. Look at the numbers, okay? He has, I don't prepare in advance or I'd have better things here, but he was a dominant pitcher, I think, 3 seasons in his career, okay? Other than that, he was a very good pitcher. Hall of Very Good. 217 wins is not a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, okay? Not on a guy that pitched for 18 years. Because remember, he came up with the 88 Orioles.
I remember.
Yes, I was in Baltimore while he was, losing those games for the 88 Orioles in that Brady Anderson trade.
Oh, those 21 games in a row?
Oh, it was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time. Schilling, he was nothing in 88, nothing in 89, nothing in 90, nothing in 91. He had that crazy season in 93. And he was a very good pitcher for a decade. But he was not a Hall of Fame legend.
Well, I'm sure you and I will agree that to more than any other sport, baseball really is a game of the numbers. And the one so-called magic number that some people see as punching your ticket to the Hall of Fame is striking out at least 3,000 batters, which Curt did.
Means nothing, in my opinion. A strikeout does not win a game. So I think that's a statistic. It is not a Hall of Fame monitor. You win 300 games, you're a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. You get 3,000 hits, you're a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. 3,000 strikeouts, you could lose a game 12-1 and have 10 strikeouts. Now, of course, your response in advance could be, we could lose a game 12-1, I could get 5 hits.
And if you look at the 1930 Phillies, for example, to go way back in time, they had a bunch of 300 hitters and lost over 90 games.
Well, they had the worst pitching. I don't even have to look this one up. They had the worst pitching staff probably in the history of baseball in that year, if I'm correct.
I think you're right, and that's why it came to mind.
Yes.
But of course, if I don't see how you can devalue the strikeout statistic and not similarly devalue the hit statistic, which was certainly debunked as a Hall of Fame measuring stick once Craig Biggio got 3,000 hits and got into the Hall of Fame.
Craig Biggio, he was a compiler. I know he was a compiler.
And he was never even dominant for the 3 or 4 seasons that Curt Schilling had. He's a poster boy for your Hall of Very Good.
He's still amassed 3,000 hits. And I know this is we're going in circles here, and we're both right and we're both wrong. And this is one of those situations because I hear you, and I'm having trouble arguing with him because he's not wrong. That being said, 3,000 hits is 20 seasons of 150 hits a season. 3,000 strikeouts, 20 seasons of 150 strikeouts. The only impressive part about that is you pitched for 20 seasons.
Of course, the only thing about 20 seasons of 150 hits each is you were mediocre enough to stay in the league that long. You were lucky enough to stay healthy and lucky enough not to have a massive drop-off in your mid to late 30s.
I don't think it's lucky not having a massive drop-off. I wouldn't call that lucky.
Well, certainly in the case of Barry Bonds, it wasn't lucky. Well, but we're not going to talk about him just now.
You know what? Let's stop for a break, and we'll pick this back up in just a moment.
Let me just say one thing before we go. I do disagree about Curt Schilling, and
I'm not done with Curt Schilling. Don't worry. We're going to talk about that on the way back. I think this whole show is going to be about Curt Schilling and nobody else. Let's just be clear about that.
All right, then why don't we cut away from a word for our sponsor.
Hello, I'm Dickie Knowles, 1980 Philadelphia Phillies pitcher. That was the year we won the World Series, our very first in our history. And when I'm in South Jersey, I love stopping at SwamiLee's for the best card selection in the Delaware Valley area.
And we're back at SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles in Pennsauken, New Jersey. I'm SwamiLee.
I'm Mike.
And we were talking about that douche nozzle Curt Schilling before break. And I figure I should tell you why we call him a douche nozzle. Okay? Now, I think you're aware of this situation, are you not?
I am very much aware of it.
Okay. Curt Schilling is like a teenage boy, or worse, a teenage girl on Twitter. For those that are on Twitter, he is there. Curt Schilling loves to criticize and insult people on Twitter. And then, when the people respond to him, he blocks them. Yes, you heard me.
He sounds like a certain president, but we don't need to go there, do we?
Please not. Please don't go there. But he literally attacked me for no apparent reason. Okay? All I said was people in the public eye have to expect public criticism. He attacked me. He called me a douche nozzle. And then when I responded, he blocked me. So he's known as the douche nozzle for anyone who cares.
Well, but if I recall, wasn't the attack actually done on a podcast or radio show?
Oh no, he didn't mention me on a radio show. That's where he got some press, so to speak. But no, he called me a douche nozzle on Twitter, and then he blocked me and he's blocked many people. He is like a teenage girl. No offense meant to any teenage girls out there. I know you're a lot more mature than Curt Schilling. But that being said, I can think of 79 million reasons why he is not a good person. And that's the best way that I can put it. But so for those wondering why, I'm so critical of Curt Schilling, aside from the fact that he is not a Hall of Famer, is the fact that he is a teenage girl on a bad day.
Well, before we get back to Curt's Hall of Fame, or as you would say, lack of Hall of Fame credentials, I have to ask, does the 79 million comment relate to the money that he got from the state of Rhode Island for the failed business?
Yes, that would be the $79 million that Curt Schilling lost, as a horrible businessman for his 38 Studios venture. So yes, $79 million, give or take a few, might be 78 and change. Can you imagine what I could do with $79 million, aside from lose it from the state? Thanks, Curt. Rhode Island loves you, I'm sure. We best get back to the actual content because we're running out of time already, and all we've done is talked about what a douche nozzle Curt Schilling is.
Well, let me say I do disagree with you about Curt the player. The fact is, while it's true he only had maybe 4.5 truly dominant regular seasons, he's one of the rare players, I'd say, whose postseason heroics, and forget that stupid bloody sock, but in 1993 with the Phillies, in 2001 with the Diamondbacks, and then with those Red Sox in 2004. He did enough in the postseason. He won enough big games that what you might call very good regular season statistics get inflated, and as a result of his postseason heroics, I regretfully have to say Curt should be in the Hall of Fame, and as soon as I get my credentials from the Baseball Writers of America Association, I will see it happen.
Yeah, no. With all his political views and making a fool out of himself, he's only hurting his case. He's not much different than Pete Rose, when every time Pete Rose was this close to the Hall of Fame, he'd open his mouth. I mean, I'm a Pete Rose fan. I'm sorry, I am. I always will be. But my God, every time they were about to make him a Hall of Famer, he would do something stupid. And Schilling, what he's been doing over the last couple of years on Twitter, his horrible political views, his hatred, his anger, he is never going to be a Hall of Famer.
And you've touched on something that should probably be a topic for another day, which is the fact that some of those writers seem to be pretty petty. I mean, look at a guy like Jim Rice, who was dominant for at least a decade. And why did it take him 14 or 15 ballots to get on?
Well, part of it is the fact he was very surly to the media. But honestly, if you look at Jim Rice's numbers, even though I don't disagree with his dominance, his numbers just weren't that great. And that's the problem with Jim Rice.
But the problem with the writers is that if it was those numbers plus someone who was a friendly guy and a great interview, he's in 5 to 10 years earlier.
You know what's interesting? I have to look this up. I'm going to compare Dale Murphy to Jim Rice and take a look and see what those... I don't know what those numbers are going to say, but I think that's going to be an interesting comparison. I know Rice had a higher batting average, but Murphy had more home runs. Murphy had 2 MVP awards. So... And it was probably a better fielder because Murphy was a pretty good fielder. He couldn't catch to save his life. That's why he moved to the outfield. But so that's something to look into. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong about that, but I'm going to find that interesting to look at.
No, it is an interesting comparison, and you know we can debate whether it's right that Rice is in and Murphy is out, but that's a topic for another day.
Well, we had best sum this up and move on. Of course, as usual, we really didn't accomplish anything here today, but we hope you enjoyed hearing a couple different viewpoints. And Curt, if you hear this, you douche nozzle, I hope that you never make the Hall of Fame. So, Mike, let's move on. And I see you picked out an item for us to talk about real quick from SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Well, yes, I did. Since we're talking about Hall of Famers, I've chosen a starting lineup to Willie McCovey, mid-stroke there, getting ready to hit that line drive just a few feet higher over Bobby Richardson this time.
Ouch.
Unlike Curt and some of the other people we've talked about today, I think we can agree Willie McCovey was indisputably a Hall of Famer. This is a fine starting lineup product available here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Excellent. Well, even though we talked baseball today, I stayed along lines of Hall of Famers. I love Shaq. Who doesn't love Shaq? This is called a Shaq Attack, also by starting lineup. In 1993, when they released these things, I was going to be rich. I had so many of these things. They were $10 retail price. I was going to put them away for 5 years, and they're going to be worth a fortune one day. Well, it's been 25 years, and unfortunately, the diesel is not quite overly valuable. But again, who doesn't love Shaq?
The answer to that question is anyone who remembers his brief and undistinguished movie career.
Hey, first of all, Steel, decent movie. Blue Chips, excellent movie.
What about that Wizard movie?
Okay, Kazam stunk. Let's just be honest. Kazam stunk. But you know what? But I'll take Kazam 3 times in a row over listening to Shaq Diesel, which was his CD he put out around the 93 time.
Well, if those are my choices, I would go with What's Behind Door Number 3.
Well, I'll choose Jif. How about that? Okay, it didn't work. I thought it was pretty funny, but that's okay. One of the funniest things Married with Children was they said, you know, Kelly took the Pepsi challenge and she chose Jif, but don't worry about that. Anyway, we're getting ready to sum everything up. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike.
And don't forget to stop by SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Haddonfield Road in Pennsauken. www.swamileecards.com. SwamiLee's.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey,